Hello, and welcome back to the club. I am one of your hosts, Katie Hoy, and I am here with the best girl in the world, Miss Ashlyn Clark Gober. Ash, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. You decided to wait until the middle of my yawn to start talking, but that's okay. We get to hang out in like 4 days. How does it feel?
It feels like I seriously can't tell you how excited I am.
I know.
I have been thinking to myself, like, okay, and on Wednesday I need to wash the sheets. And then, like, today we're doing our holiday baking, and I had to make sure, like, we had a tin so that we could give y'all some of our holiday treats. And, like, what day do I need to make a loaf? And I'm just doing all of my planning in my mind. I've been, like, thinking nonstop about how I can make my home as Susanna friendly as possible. And
Yeah.
I seriously cannot wait.
I can't wait to have her just like running around your house with Tiber. It's going to be the sweetest thing in the world. But seriously, like baby proofing is not fun. So if it makes you feel better, like we will just watch her. You know, like we don't have to have everything perfectly baby proof. The only thing that I will say is she's really good at cabinets and drawers. So as long as you don't have like knives in your lowest drawer, which who would?
Yeah. Well, I do
think
have
we're
a bread
good.
knife in the lowest drawer. So, like, that will be getting moved up as well as any other, like, sharper objects. But other than that, we should be good. It's just, like, glass bowls and things that if were dropped, they would, shatter. But that's okay.
They would shatter.
I don't think
Yeah.
that she'll be getting too much into it. So,
No, I think she'll be fine. I'm super excited. Thank y'all for having us. I'm so excited for Christmas. Like I can't even express. I'm assuming you feel the same way with your little Santa hoodie.
yeah. Yeah. No, I'm really, really, really excited. Normally, I'm not like a huge Christmas girl, but this year I'm like really excited. And I think it's because we did not have a home last year. So we're kind of like really like,
Throwback. I totally forgot you were like displaced during the holidays.
yes. So this year, like we have a place to like do all of our traditions and our own like cooking and stuff like that. And then also we're like way, way, way pared down on the gift giving this year, which is so nice. And it makes the holidays like actually enjoyable rather than the stress of like, oh, I still need to spend $15 more on this person. And I can't think of anything for that person. It's just stressful. So
Yeah. Yeah. Totally understand. We have not done hardly any gifts. Simply because we have to fly 100,000 miles to get home. But I think we will like end up getting at least our parents something small. But again, it's literally a week and a half away and I have no clue what I'm getting them. So, who knows if that will come true.
Well, feel free to ship anything that you need to my house. Okay. And Amazon tends to get here pretty quickly. So we should be good.
Perfect. So everyone, this is just going to be a quick little wrap up 2024 episode about what our favorite books were from this year, what we're looking forward to from next year, and just kind of talking about other things as far as book talk culture, I guess, like what's going on with the girlies. And then after this, we're going to do our December episode. So we have a lot of recording to do and a lot of content to share. But Katie has made literally an exhaustive list of books to talk about. So I really don't want to dilly and dally too long. So I think the first thing we should start off with is what were our favorite books of the year. And I personally have only read the books for the club. Maybe I've read like 2 or 3 outside of that. And I haven't been impressed with any of them. So I have just combined all of my books into one list. So like this is the club books and the books I've read outside of it. Again, minimal. And I didn't look at like what I rated books on the episodes to come up with this list because it's so subjective to me. Like in the moment after I read a book, I want to rate it so high. And then it takes me a while to actually come back to think, okay, what do I really think about that? So these are the top 3 books that we read for the podcast that I still think about. That was kind of my threshold. Like, do I still even think about this book? Okay.
Yep.
Number 1 is When the Moon Hatched. Loved that. That was our book for last month, right?
Yeah, for November. Yeah, I knew that one was going to be up there on your list for sure.
No, of course. Yeah, it was like my favorite book of the year. Loved her. Okay. The next one is Funny Story by Emily Henry.
I knew it. I wish we would have done
Loved it.
I wish,
Predictions.
yeah, I wish I could have, like, we would have done, like, my guesses because both of those books would have been on there. But I am dying and, like, holding my breath for what your number 3 book is going to be.
Well, the
So,
number 3 I think is obvious. Crescent City 3
okay.
from January. And
Okay.
I don't think that if this book was like a standalone, it would have made it into my top 3. But truly, like, I can't stop thinking about just the mass universe and what's going to happen and everything.
Yeah.
And it's just the one that keeps me the most excited for reading next year. So that's why it made it into my top 3. Is that what you
Totally.
thought I was going to pick as my third?
I didn't know, but I was like seriously going to hang up this recording if you said The Road of Bones. So,
Okay, let me tell you. The Road of Bones, what I rated that 5 stars, right? I have been trying to get through the second book in that series for the longest time, and it's not that it's bad, but I'm doing audiobooks, so it's just already like a strained relationship with me.
yeah.
But I still haven't finished it, and I don't care to. And so that kind of made me realize, like, I think I honestly don't know that it was that good of a book, like a 5-star book when I read it. I
Yeah.
think I was just really excited to read something fantasy, something better than I had read before. And I read it quickly, and that always leaves a bigger impact.
100%. And it's kind of like, I mean, like you said, the more distance you get from the book, the more you kind of like understand how you really truly feel about it. Because if it sticks
Yeah.
with you, then of course, like it was a great book. But some of them like are great in the moment, and then you kind of never really think about them again.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so you have 8. So why don't we just get cracking on your list?
Okay. So these are not in any particular order, but I do have a number 1. So I'm going to try
Okay.
to just go quickly. I don't believe I have shared this yet, but I started reading the Magnolia Parks series, and that is by Jessa Hastings. When I tell you, this has changed me, who I am on a cellular level. I'm literally not the same, like, truly obsessive. I think about these books all the time, and I actually had to stop in the middle of the series to read our December book, and it was killing me. Like, the number of times I literally almost just said, nah, screw it, I'm just going to read the next book before I read the December book, but I
I
stayed
had
true
to
to my
beg her.
word.
I had to literally say, like, do not pick it up. We have 4 days until we record. Like, you have to read the book. And she's like, are you sure? Like, I probably can swing it. Like, no.
Yeah.
Obsessed.
It was a battle, but the Magnolia Park series, so good. This is like not really a spoiler, but just the general gist. It's not fantasy, even though the covers kind of look like it is, but it's essentially like Gossip Girl vibes if it was in London. And seriously, like, it went straight to the center of my brain, and now like it cannot be removed. Okay, next on my list, I have City of Gods and Monsters by Kayla Edwards. I still have only read the first book in this series, but it was one of those where I enjoyed it in the moment and it really stuck with me, so I can't wait to move on to the next one. Then I have the Kane Brothers series by Megan Quinn. I believe the first one is a not so meet cute. They were just like really cute and sweet and spicy. Then I have Quicksilver by Callie Hart, which was just like took the world by storm.
So good.
So good. And we read that on the podcast this year. Then I have One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. I read that at the beginning of the year. So good. It's a duology.
I'm starting that one tomorrow. I'm so excited.
Okay, I cannot wait for you to see what you think. Then I have House of Bane and Blood by Alexis L. Menard, which is the one that's like, what's that show that it's similar to?
Peaky Blinders?
Yes.
Is that the one?
Yes, that's the one. And then Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. That one I read towards the beginning of the year. So good. Did you ever get that one?
No. So I went to Barnes & Noble to get that book and One Dark Window, and I showed up and it was gone. Like, Spark of the Everflame did not exist. And then I asked Katie about it, and I think they got picked up by a publisher, and the
That's
actual the actual published version isn't out yet, but on the way, like while they're waiting, they just like took the regular one off the shelves. I think you can
Mm-hmm.
still get it on like whatever,
Yeah.
Kindle,
Yeah.
but I wanted the hardback. And so instead, I ended up getting Throne of the Fallen by Carrie Maniscalco.
Okay, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Horrible book. But yeah.
Shut up. Do you actually not like it?
Oh, I hate it.
What? That's
She
crazy.
literally, we can get into it after. You have
Okay.
one more on the list.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. So my last one is my number one book of the whole year. Standalone. What is it called? Dark academia, like gothic kind of vibes. And that book is Nocticadia by Carrie Lake. So fucking good. This is my perfect book.
Ooh.
Like
Okay.
literally, I could. If you were to ask me, like, what's your perfect book, it would literally be this. So, highly recommend. But tell me more about Throne of the Fallen because, like, that is
Okay.
insane to me.
Okay. So, like I said, I went to Barnes and Noble with no intentions of buying this book, but Katie has not stopped talking about it. And just for a simple backstory, we both read her prior trilogy like 2 years ago or something, like
Yeah.
maybe 3, like a long time ago, which is Kingdom of the Wicked. And whenever I read it, I told Katie, this is really good. You should read it. And she read it. And then in the middle of her reading it, she said, oh my God, like, is this better than ACOTAR? Like, this is so good. And I said, no. But like, I agree. Like, I recommended it. I agree
Yeah.
that I like the book. Okay. So in those books, it's kind of like old world, Renaissance-y, medieval, almost medieval-y, but like dark, very dark scenery. And like the society wasn't really a thing. It was more based off of like church. It just felt very medieval. And then, okay, flash forward. Now she has this other book, but kind of branches off from some of the characters from the first series.
Mm-hmm.
And it's literally like if someone just like watched Bridgerton and then they were like, oh my God, I love this concept. Like, I'm going to make a fantasy book about Bridgerton. Like, same thing with the houses and the parties. They even kept saying, like, the ton, which I don't read a lot of, like, I guess it's like romance, but like period piece romance.
Yeah.
I don't know how often that's used in books or not. But to hear it and like the imagery was like totally different. The whole society was totally different. And it wasn't really placed that far in the future. I think it was supposed to be like a couple years in the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't like this. If you were to compare the two worlds from the human's perspective, to me, it felt like centuries in the future, like 2 centuries maybe.
Yeah.
So it felt like it was incongruous. And then, okay, I'm going to say this in a derogatory way. It was literally porn. Like, there was not a moment where I felt safe just like reading this in public, because it was always cock and dick and like all this stuff. And it also was not, it didn't feel like the same author. It didn't feel like the same story. Nothing felt the same. And so for that reason, I harbor more bad feelings about it, because I know how good she can write and how good of a story the first few books were.
Yeah.
For it to turn into this, I just feel like it's a letdown and it's an injustice
Yeah. Okay. That
for
makes
the main
sense.
character.
That makes sense. And I
I
completely
did
agree
DNF
with
it. I will not be
you.
picking it back up. Like,
Okay.
I'm done.
I agree with you on the porn. Like, it was far and away way more spicy than the Kingdom of the Wicked series. And also, I just read the newest book in that series, and it was not nearly as spicy as Throne of the Fallen. But that's totally fair. I personally enjoyed the change because it is like set in a different part of this made up world. But I enjoyed like the change of scenery and like how it was different. But
Yeah, but you didn't feel like it was literally just Bridgerton?
No, I did, but I love that setting, so I didn't have an issue with it.
Okay, okay. Interesting. It felt cheap to me, but
Okay.
that's just because I liked her first series so much. I think I'm just comparing it to
Yeah.
that, which I feel like is usually fair if you're reading the same author and the same world.
Mm-hmm.
They're usually comparable, but this time it just really wasn't.
Yeah, it's like 100% completely different. Like I don't necessarily even know, this is hard to explain, but it's like realms, so it's like hard to know exactly where in the world they are, especially because like you are in a completely different place than where the first book or the first series is set. So I can agree with that, but I hate that you didn't love it. So
Me too, because I paid literally $32 for the Barnes and Noble exclusive edition because they didn't have any other options. It was just they had this like bright, it's like purple and pink. It's so cute, but
you know
the book
what?
fucking sucks.
I would be pissed. I would hate the book too if I paid that much for
Yeah, it was
it.
like not only did I have this whole thing like built up in my mind, it's the cutest book of all time. I paid extra
Yeah.
money for it. I was so lit. I had my bestie over here like hyping it up. I was so excited. No, total letdown.
Okay, that's totally fair. Um, well, so those were our top books of 2024. Now let's talk about some things that are going to be coming up, some things to look forward to in 2025. So we have a couple of film adaptations, and the first one I'm going to let you kind of take the lead on if you want to.
Okay, yes, and this happens every. Have I said this before? Every time we have a podcast, the day after it drops, there's like some big news in the book
Yeah.
world. It's every time. So then we have to wait a month to talk about something. So if this has already been talked about and hashed out, I don't care because this is our first time talking about it. But
Right.
Verity got picked up. They're making a movie. Anne Hathaway as Verity. I could not be more obsessed. I seriously couldn't.
Okay.
I think a lot of people saw her casting and thought she was going to be Lowen. And then a lot of people saw the director, who's like this older gentleman, and thought, because like the photo, like the headline was Verity picked up and Anne Hathaway to star and blah, 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 blah to produce. But it was just their two photos. And so everyone thought that they were going to be like the main couple. And these idiots on Facebook were like, this is not who I pictured at all, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, first of all,
Oh my God.
anyone would kill to have Anne Hathaway in their movie. And that's that. So, like, regardless of if it's who you pictured, kind of the same thing with like Blake Lively in that movie. But like just like ignoring the title and thinking that random man was going to play the male main character is hilarious.
That is so funny. So I've not read Verity. I don't know who the characters are.
What?
I know. I need to read. I promise I'll read it in 2025 before the movie comes
Okay.
out.
Okay.
But I have no idea. I don't know if this is a good casting call. So I think it's good. But like Anne Hathaway, like you said, anyone would like kill to have her star in their movie. Anne Hathaway is so fucking funny to me. I don't know. Do you like keep up with her like culturally, like just the things she
No,
does?
the
in her
last time I
personal
saw her
life?
was whenever she was like famous for like dancing at some party. Do you know what I'm talking about? The videos?
Okay.
That was
okay.
like 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay. She is so funny. And Ash, I don't think you listened to the Bitch Bible podcast with Jackie Schimmel.
No.
But she like is obsessed with Anne Hathaway and talks about like
Okay.
all the stuff that she does all the time, and like obsessed in a like a way where, is she making fun of her? Maybe, but she also like is obsessed, like she loves it. You know what I mean?
She loves her.
So
You know
this is
more
exciting.
than most about Anne Hathaway, you're saying?
I wouldn't say I know as much as people who pay attention to Anne Hathaway culturally knows.
Okay.
But she's so funny. And I watched, what's that movie that she was recently in where she like is this girl's mom and
Dating
she's
a 19-year-old or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I thought
what was
she
that called? Like, The Idea of You, I think.
Yes, that's the one. I thought she was great in that movie. And she like is so beautiful and gorgeous and such a good actress. So I think it's gonna be great. I mean, hopefully so anyway.
No, I think it's going to be I think it's going to be amazing, especially because once you get Anne Hathaway, I think a lot of other actresses and actors will now be
Yeah.
interested. And
Yeah.
so even if like you didn't get exactly who you wanted for the main character, now you might have the chance to. So
Okay.
I know you don't know the character, so I can't go into more detail, but
Yeah.
seriously, such a good call.
Okay, so is she's not the main character then? She's someone else?
I'm not going to tell you.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. All right, sorry to spoil the fun, but I just like don't read those kinds of books.
Me
So,
either, but like seriously, it's the one worth doing it for. Like
okay,
I
gotcha.
just randomly read it because someone recommended it to me, and like then I was like, okay, how do I get my hands on more psychological thrillers? Like it was so good.
Okay, gotcha. Maybe this will be like dipping my toe into the thrillers because that's just like not my thing. I don't care about murder and all of that stuff unless
Yeah, that's
it's
the
with a
other thing is
sword.
this. Yeah, it's not right. So true. This one's not like murdery mystery y. It's more
Okay.
just like I can't even explain it. It's so
Okay.
good.
Okay. I'll definitely read it. Um, okay, so our next film adaptation that we need to talk about is Quicksilver by Callie Hart. It was picked up by Netflix. So the headline was Netflix won a seven-figure auction for Callie Hart's book talk sensation Quicksilver. Elizabeth Cantillon will produce, and Callie will be the executive producer. Now, Elizabeth Cantillon, she is currently working on the film adaptation of The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, which I feel
Which
like
I
is
have
a
not
huge
read that,
deal.
but everyone talks about it. Yeah, I feel like it's a
Mm-hmm.
really big production. So
Yeah.
hopefully this isn't like a first time producer. Like she'll have some experience under her belt. I
Yeah.
don't know anything about the production world, but
Yeah.
it sounds like that's a good place to start.
Yeah, exactly. But if you want to have like so Callie has a TikTok that she put out. So like I would go watch her TikTok if you want her like reaction and stuff to this. But it seems like this is actually in the works. I feel like all the time we're talking about these like film and TV adaptations of books and they just like simply never come to fruition. But this one feels like real. So here's
Yeah.
hoping, but I'm
Here's
so
hoping.
excited.
I truly don't know that we need a movie for this, but
I
I think
agree.
it will set like it'll be a good example to see if people can actually take on making fantasy movies and turning them into something worthwhile because so much of
Mhm.
it is going to have to be like CGI and so much of it is like hard to even portray on a
Yeah.
screen. So we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see how it goes because if this goes well, then I would be more excited about fantasy books getting picked up in the future, but as it stands, like I'm just not interested in a movie or TV
Mhm.
adaptations of my favorite books.
I completely agree with you. Like this is obviously so exciting for Callie and especially because like she is a somewhat new author and like her book was independently published and she ended up and I wrote down, I can't remember if we said this on the podcast already, but shortly after we read Quicksilver, it was picked up by a traditional publisher, which is why the book 2 release did not come out this October and is now going to be pushed until fall 2025. Um, so that's so exciting for her. But again, this is not a book that I read and thought, I really want this to be like a TV show or a movie. I just don't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily feel the urge to have that. I'm curious now because I also feel like the Fourth Wing TV show is like really chugging along. And the more I think about it, the less excited I am about that, honestly.
No, that's how I feel about all of it. I think that's totally valid because it's like, how are you going to portray like a dragon talking to you in your mind?
Uh huh. Yeah.
It's going to be weird. I don't think it's going to do it justice, but again, all we can do is try. The
Yeah.
Harry Potter series coming out, like, what? I just
Mm-hmm.
think people are getting a little crazy, like reinventing the wheel. Just leave the books as books, leave the things that are easy to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
You can make those movies all you want. Like, we love a rom com movie. We love, actually, there was another good one. Pick up all the Colleen Hoover. You want to
Yeah.
just go with those. They have normal human characters. They're based in
Mm-hmm.
America. It's easy.
Yep.
But I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to be too big of a Debbie Downer about it because it could come out and be amazing, like Harry Potter
Yeah.
and Divergent and all of that, which obviously at the end flopped. So actually, perfect example of how
Yeah.
it could go well.
Right.
But the Hunger Games was good. So I think, it's not like it's off the table, but my expectations are really low.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Um, so yeah, we will see. I tend to find Netflix's productions ever so slightly corny, no matter
You
what the show is.
ever so slightly?
Yeah.
Who's paying you? No, it's
Okay.
bad. Like get picked up by Amazon, sure. Netflix is like you can kind of guarantee that somebody questionable is going to be like Lindsay Lohan just going to like step in to the screen at one point and you're just gonna be like, huh? Chad Michael Murray, like what?
Gretchen Wieners. Yeah.
Gretchen Wieners, like what? Like what are we doing?
Completely agree. Like, and I actually have been watching a lot of TV lately, which this is like total side note, but we got a walking pad. So I've been watching like a lot of shows. Um, and I've watched like Bridgerton, which is obviously such a good show, but that one I feel like is okay. That it's a little bit corny just because like the nature of the show. But then
The
also
nature
I've
of the
been
show, yeah. There's nothing really of high
yeah,
importance going on.
exactly. And then another one is like Emily in Paris, and like I see memes all the time. It's like I watched Emily in Paris, but like I have no idea what happened last
No,
season.
no clue.
So I don't know. They're all just like a little bit, but we'll see. I have high hopes, and for Callie's sake, like I really do hope that this goes well for her. So we'll see.
I hope so too. And I think regardless for her, like she's gonna I think she has already built her audience. We're all gonna watch it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be a success as far as profitability, but I hope it's more than she could ever imagine. But I truly
Yeah.
like don't know that it's necessary. But
Yeah. Completely agree.
anyway, okay. So now I'm going to let Katie take the wheel. So she has a bunch of exciting releases that are coming up next year and books that she's looking forward to. And a lot of these, like, I've never even heard of. So I'm not going to even try to, like, read them off. So if you
Okay.
want to take it away, you
Okay.
can.
So I broke this down by category. So I've got some romance and rom-com books that are going to be coming out in 2025. These are in order of release date. So first up, we've got Deep End by Allie Hazelwood that comes out February 4th. We've got Wild Side by Elsie Silver, comes out March 4th. Then we've got Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez that comes out April 1st. Obviously, The Queen, Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry, April 27th.
So fucking excited.
Same, mark your calendars. We've got One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune that comes out on May 6th. And then lastly, I have Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston, and that comes out on June 17th. So I basically just went through and found all of the like most popular romance and rom-com authors and
Okay.
and
Got
found
it.
their 2025 releases. And I feel like most of
Yeah.
them are like it's good for like summertime reads. So these are all beginning
So
of the year.
gotcha. Okay, what about I've never heard of Elsie Silver, but Wild Side is kind of giving cowboy romance. Do you know if that's
Yeah.
her vibe?
Yes,
Okay. Okay,
it
got
is.
it.
So and this is maybe the second or third book in the series. Maybe it's the fourth. I don't
Oh,
know.
it's a
There's like
series.
uh-huh. The first one is Wild Eyes.
Love, Wild Eyes, Wild Love, Wild Side.
Okay. So that's her new book. People are like huge Elsie Silver fans. She has another like cowboy romance series as well. So hopefully you guys recognize these authors. I feel like they are like the most talked about and well liked on Book Talk. But I also have some romantasy 2025 book releases. So Ashlyn, you should know a lot of these. If not the book, then at least the author. So up first, we've got Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. That comes out
Praise
very
God.
soon, on January 21st. Next, we've got Sunrise and the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. That comes out March
Oh
18th. I knew you'd be excited about that one.
my God. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Can't
Um,
wait.
yeah, I know you can. Then we've got Eldritch by Carrie Lake. That is the second book in the Anathema series, and that comes out on April 1st. We've got Fearless by Lauren Roberts on April 8th. This is book 3 of the Powerless series that everybody like raves about, that I will not be reading because it's YA and there's just kind of like mixed reviews. Um,
Okay.
Then we've got Enchantra by Kaylee Smith. That also comes out on April 8th. This is book 2 of the Phantasma series. I have not read, but have heard such good things. I believe these are a series of standalones based in like the same world.
As
So,
a third party with no interest in the matter, the fact that Phantasma and Anathema are not only different books, but totally unrelated series by different authors is insane. Like, we've got to work on the naming, girls.
I think that's a totally fair
Like,
assessment.
what are y'all talking about?
Agree. Um, okay, then we've got A Curse Carved in Bone by Danielle L. Jensen that comes out on May 13th. This is book 2 of A Fate Inked in Blood series.
Who gives a fuck? Next.
Next, we have The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig that comes out on May 20th. This is her new series. So she's the same author who wrote One Dark Window.
Okay.
And this will be a completely new series by her. Then we've got Quicksilver. Book 2 will come out sometime in the fall 2025. We don't yet have a date for that. And then last up is The Ballad of Falling Dragons by Sarah A. Parker that comes out on October 7th. And this is book 2 of When the Moon Hatch series.
I cannot fucking wait. Okay, my most anticipated, now that I'm looking at the books,
Okay.
Onyx Storm, Sunrise and the Reaping, and The Ballad of Falling Dragons. I think Quicksilver book 2 is very slightly below that. I also think, based off of reviews I've heard, once I read One Dogger Window, like, I'm going to be so excited about Rachel Gillig's new book. But
Yeah.
again, no clue what any of that's about. Yeah, but I will keep you guys posted as soon as I finish.
Yeah, no, so excited. Seriously, like, I can't wait for you to read it. So then the last kind of category that I have written down is a 2025 like wish list of books. These are books that like don't necessarily exist yet, or we know that they will come
Oh.
at some point in time, but we don't know yet. So I wrote some down. Feel free to like share any others that come to mind for you. But first up, obviously ACOTAR 6 needs
Yeah,
to
I'm
happen.
so ready. So ready.
Yeah.
Did you see that she was she like was awarded like author of the year on Spotify because everyone just listens to her stuff on audiobooks, and they did
Yeah.
like a little quick interview with her, and they were basically asking her questions, and she was like, I can't answer any of these. Like, she's not allowed. So that makes me think that it's actually in the works, and she like contractually can't tell us anything. Maybe that's
Yeah.
naive. That's just what I hope.
I completely agree. Someone did say that we are now looking at a 2026 release for ACOTAR, which is insane.
It is insane because didn't Silver Flames come out in like 2023?
Before that, 'cause
2022.
we started this podcast in 2023 and it came out before that. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, 2022 feels more right. Like the ending
Yeah.
of 2022, maybe? I can look it
That
up.
I think that's right. And she did say something about there's like going to be some kind of special edition or something of the ACOTAR series being released in the spring.
Oh my God. February 16th, 2021 was when it was published.
You're
That's
kidding.
over 5 years later.
That's brutal, Sarah. What are we doing?
I don't know. Like, why are you putting us through this?
Mm-hmm. Okay, coming to you guys live from the cutting room floor. We very quickly spiraled into ACOTAR madness here. So, this is an official spoiler warning, okay? If you have not read ACOTAR, please do yourself a favor and jump ahead to the 38:55 mark. Here's a couple extra seconds for you guys to fast forward, and we'll get back into it in 3, 2, and 1. But the thing is, like, it is in the works because she constantly is saying, like, I can't tell you who the next book is about. And it does feel like this is really, like, under lock and key for her. So it does seem like this is, like, truly, truly in the works. And she just can't talk
Also, what do
about
you mean
it.
you can't tell us? It's very, very clearly about Elaine.
That's what everybody's saying.
It's going to be like half about Elaine, half about Azriel. And they're going to be like, will they, won't they? And then Gwen's going to step in and save the day for everyone who's like a
100%.
Gwen real person or a
Oh,
person with a
man.
brain.
Yeah, exactly that. The El Real girls have really been pissing me off lately. So just.
Lately, how do they still have stuff to say?
Yeah.
Let me just be clear. Like, Azriel and Elaine have exactly 4 lines together in the book series. How do you still have content to be talking about?
Tell me you didn't read the bonus chapter without telling me. Like, they're not going to be together. I don't know. Like, get it through your thick skull.
They barely talked in that chapter.
Literally. Like, what are you talking? I can't. And, like, she's not going to leave Lucian high and dry. It's simply not going to happen. So, like, please figure it out. Like, look inward. What's going on? You know what I mean?
Right. No, I think what they want is everyone gets their mate except Elaine. But they think they're like justifying it. They're like, well, Elaine wants this. Okay. She doesn't know what she wants.
Mm-hmm.
She got dragged out of the cauldron 10 minutes ago. She doesn't know anything.
Lest we forget, Pharaoh wanted Tamlin. So, please. You know?
Such a good point. Like, sometimes we want things and it doesn't make sense. And that's okay. I talk to you like I'm your mother. It's okay to be wrong.
Exactly. You know what conspiracy theory is? Like, truly, like, eats away at my brain every day is the Eris and Azriel being mates idea. Have you heard that?
I'm sorry. Hang on. What? I have not heard this.
That's what the girlies are saying now. That
The girlies are on crack cocaine.
I actually love it. But they like, oh, and of course they make like a compelling argument because it's like whenever, I'm sorry, this is like spoilery a little bit if you haven't read ACOTAR. So maybe I'll go in and like insert
That would be
something
good.
like, yeah, just to say that we're having ACOTAR spoilers. But if you have not finished the series, like maybe don't keep listening to this. But in Silver Flames, when Azriel and Cassian go to like get Eris out because he's been like taken away by the queen. You know what I'm talking about? And they go to
Yes.
rescue him. And it's like all a trap and she's going to like trap them. Azriel grabs Eris and he flies up into the air and leaving just Cassian there with the queen. And that's like one of the arguments that people make about how Azriel and Eris are mates.
Okay, it doesn't feel substantial enough for me to like
On
follow
its
the
own,
path.
of course, yes.
Yeah.
And there's several other
I'm sure
examples that they have.
there is. Yeah, yeah.
But
People
it's
have
so
like
funny.
memorized every like line of these books and like their theories. You have to believe them. You're like, who am I to question you? You literally have 1,800 little sticky notes in your book. You've read it 10 times.
100%. And like to those girls, all I want to say is like, can I have your life? I would love to dedicate my entire existence to memorizing every line of every chapter of every book of ACOTAR, you know?
It would actually be really fun. I think about it often.
Yeah, same. Okay, anyway, that was like total tangent, but 2025 wish list books. Okay, ACOTAR. Spark of the Everflame final book was supposed to come out this past March of 2024. It didn't. There's been like all these issues. She hasn't given us a date yet. At least I haven't checked. It's maybe been a couple weeks since I've checked to see if she has a date for us. But I pray to God that book comes out. The only thing is that she just got picked up by a traditional publisher. And so
Oh,
I
so it
feel
might
like,
take longer than 2025 for it to actually come out. Yeah, totally.
yeah. Then if you guys remember, we read Hannah Brown's book as like a surprise book this year, and at the end we had so many questions left. So I'm hoping that she then comes out with her like, this has not been verified at all. I literally made this up. I hope that she comes out with book 2 in 2025.
I hope so too. All of our Alabama girlies, send this to Hannah. I know half of y'all know her from Alabama. We need
Literally.
to know. We need to know the answers to our questions. And honestly, there is room. There's plenty of room for her to write a follow-up book. I
Totally.
would definitely read it. I mean, she did so well with the first one. Like, I
Yeah.
totally trust her. I think she can do it. Like, please, we're begging.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. I'm also looking forward to a Christina Lauren summer read. She wrote The Paradise Problem. We have split opinions on that book as well. But I just love her book, so I would look forward to that. Also, Hannah Grace, who writes, what's the first one? Icebreaker is the first book
Oh, God.
in her series. But I always read the books, and like they just are a little bit of like comfort. I just like know the characters and like the setting and everything, so those just make me happy. The Princes of Sin, whoever the next prince is going to be, I look forward to that. The Last Magnolia
Please,
Parks
like,
book.
this is one thing that I actually did form an opinion on whenever I read Throne of the Fallen, because Katie didn't tell me which prince it was going to be about. Spoiler, if you haven't read any of Carrie Maniscalco's stuff, just skip forward a bit. I thought that Throne of the Fallen was going to be about lust, and I was so excited. And then it wasn't. And I still like Envy, so whatever. But like the next one has to be lust.
I actually think so. Book the next one. Do you want me to tell you who the next one is?
Sure.
The one that just came out is Throne of Secrets. That one's about gluttony. I really, really, really think the next one is lust. And
You know what? I actually loved Sloth. Like that man.
same.
I want to know more about that. But Gluttony's interesting. I didn't finish, so I don't know how she ended up like getting there from this book.
I will say, I did not think Gluttony was going to be the next one based off of Throne of the Fallen. Like, that one threw me for a loop, but I really think Lust is going to be next. I literally like wrote that in my Goodreeds review.
Well, I don't know if I can handle Lust. I can barely handle Envy. Like the amount
True.
of sexual content was just too much.
That's such a good point. I mean, you have to imagine that's going to be like a huge portion of it.
Yeah. And I don't know that I've ever read a book that was more than this one, except for like Den of Vipers, which, as you know, like I didn't finish. So yeah, I don't know that I could handle it, but for the girls that can, like, I think that'll be a good story.
I agree. I will definitely read it and I will let you know. Okay, the last Magnolia Parks book is supposed to be about Daisy. Apparently there's 2 more books on Daisy, which doesn't necessarily make sense with like the pattern. If you don't know what I'm talking about, seriously, like I can't be bothered to explain it. So just look up the Magnolia Park series. But anyway, I'm hoping that one comes out in 2025. And then last but certainly not least is the new Carissa Broadbent Crowns of Nyaxia book. I hope comes out in 2025.
Do you think this one just came out? I don't know if 2025 is going to be it for her. Unless she has another novella, then maybe.
Well, but think about it, because The Serpent and the Wings of Night came out in like February of 2023, and then shortly after was the second book. Granted, she was still independently published at that point in time, but then that was just last year. She gets picked up. Now this book is this year. So I'm hoping that next year she'll have another book for us, at least a novella, like has to have at least a novella, I feel like.
Yeah, I hope you're right, honestly. And It probably is easier whenever she does it in these like grouped duologies or trilogies or whatever she ends up doing, because you can like kind of lay out the whole story for yourself. So you're not starting from scratch each time.
Yeah.
So maybe that'll happen.
Yeah. But that's all I had written. Were there any others that you're looking forward to or hope to see in 2025?
No, I'm honestly just so excited about the new Suzanne Collins that like I cannot be bothered by anything else on this list. I'm not gonna stop thinking about it. You said it's in April?
I think it was March, honestly. Let's see. Yeah, March 18th.
Also, I love that you put it in romantasy.
Well,
She
I
doesn't
feel
have
as,
an. It's not in. Yeah, we don't have like
I feel
a
as
good
though,
grouping for her.
yeah, and since it is like the Hunger Games adjacent, it felt like it belonged more so in that category to me.
Yeah, totally.
Um so yeah, that's all that we've got. It has been a fun year. I seriously cannot believe we've almost been doing this podcast for 2 years. That's like
I
insane.
know. That's crazy. Okay, tell the girlies how many books you ended up reading this year.
I've currently read 57. I am on number 58 right now. It's got like 400 pages and I'm like, today is December 15th. So I have,
Oh,
what
you're
is
gonna
that?
crush.
I bet, because, oh, sorry, I should say my book goal is 60. So I have to get to it. Like, if you guys have recommendations for like audio, like short audiobooks that I can listen to while I'm like
No,
doing
you
shit
have
around the
16
house.
days to read 3 books. You do that on a normal month. I don't know why you're like stressing.
I think it's because like the holidays are coming up and I literally never have time to read during the holidays because I'm
Oh,
just
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
busy doing stuff. But we're taking like a family trip to the beach like after Christmas and over the New Year's holiday. So hopefully I'll have plenty of time to
Yeah,
sit
no,
and read.
I think it's gonna be easy. I think you'll end up reading 61 or 62. That is my
I hope.
prediction.
I hope.
And the Magnolia Park series seems like it's what like saw you through to your goal. But I was cracking up because, so when I first started reading, back in, I guess it was like 2021 or 2022, maybe. Must have been 2021. I started with what's her face, Jennifer Armentrout, and I literally that was like February, and then by the end of the year I had read like 48 books, and I was like, wow, I guess I'll just set my goal for 50 next year. Like that'll be cool to have a reading goal, and I didn't even get close, like not even close. And so since then I just haven't had a quota or like a goal. But Katie referring to it as a quota the other day on Snapchat cracked me up because she's like, it's like she has to do it or else she's a failure, even though she read 58 books already. I'm like, oh my God, that is so much pressure. So anyway, best of luck to you. I don't know how you do that with such pressure on yourself, but sounds like you're going to
Yeah.
make it.
Well, we will see. I just got to tell Hoyt, like, seriously, don't speak to me. Don't look at me for the rest of December. Like, I have books to read. And honestly, like you said, Magnolia Parks has gotten me through the way I read the first 3 books in like a week and a half because I was like trying to physically like absorb them into my body as quickly as possible. It's so insane. If you guys need a series to get you through to your reading goal that you are going to be obsessed with, read Magnolia Parks. Like, I can't even explain it. It's actually in the literal sense of the word insane.
I kind of want to just to see what's going on, but I fear like I'm just at a point in my life now where reading books is something that I actually have to devote specific time to. I was trying to say specified. Like I have to carve out time in my schedule to make it happen. So it means a lot to me whenever I like read a book. So I don't have a lot of tolerance because of that for like books that are just okay or like
Yeah.
that have errors and stuff. I'm like, no, this is my 30 minutes a day that I get to sit down and read. I'm going to fucking enjoy it. So, I might think about it and then I might still not do it. You know, you never know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
At this point, I'm just trying to get through One Dark Window and Spark of the Everflame, and then I'll be happy. My only reading goal this year was to read 3 books in December, and I have not. So, which I have, like I said, we have 16 days left, so I might be able to read 3, but that's if I finish Throne of the Fallen, which I don't think I will.
Yeah. Oh, well, look, you could finish that and you could finish listening to The Road of Bones, and there you go. You're
And
at your
then
reading
I'm
goal.
done. So true. So true.
Yep. Okay, guys. Well, this has been fun. It was nice to just talk like strictly about books and just hang out and chit chat and do whatever. So, next up, we're going to do our December book, which is The Songbird and the Heart of Stone by Carissa Broadbent. So, if you read the book and you want to hear our thoughts and feelings on that, just hop on over there and we will see you there.
All right. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.